Hello, my name is Jasmin Agustin, and this is my retrospective video project for the Educ 4400 Fall 2025 course. And this is a video project where I'm going to be talking about what projects, work have I done in the course, what have I learned from the course, and what I want to learn more from the course, what I want to learn more from the course, how I'm going to use this in my future classrooms, and how I used what I've learned in my internship one. I'm currently a mathematics education major, secondary mathematics education major for 9th and 10th grade classes, and with an intended BA in mathematics. So that is what I'm applying this to for this course. I applied my work to. Okay, so first, what have I done for this project? So I did 3. So project 1 is a Prezi presentation of a book review of the book A Teacher's Inside Advice to Parents, How Children Thrive with Leadership, Love, Laughter, and Learning by Robert Ward, 2016. And I was to upload a selfie at the end of the project, which I did, but it's kind of hard to see, but and I was to create this book review with the intent of promoting it to my peers or my clinical teacher for classroom use, along with summarizing the author's key points and my critiques and comments with it. And I have learned a lot. And by the way, this was my first time using Prezi in like 8 years. And I used it back in middle school. And I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos to learn how to use the new version. It was very difficult, but I think it looked really nice. It looked I was told from my peers it was very pretty, but it was crowded. Like it was all scrunched up in like a tight little space, and there were too many words, too many words on the project. But that was some of the critiques I received, and from my peers, and also from my friend who's a design major. But I did another book review for project 3, and she said it turned out way better. But okay, project number 2. Oh wait, what I have learned from project number 1. So I've learned a lot about how to communicate with the parents of my students both effectively and authentically, and I got to read a lot of cute stories about classrooms and teacher experiences with them. It was really cute. And some of them were really sad. Some of them were like very, very sad. But that's the thing. That's what I liked about it. I liked how like authentic it was. I'm like, this is like actually what teachers have to deal with, both teachers and parents, and how we as teachers have to work together with parents to ensure that their child is what grows up and learns to do whatever they want, learns to do whatever they put their mind to, you know. And that's what I mean. The stories that are written in this book. I can and could use them as examples of what to do in my future classrooms if I were to run into these scenarios. And I really appreciated that. It gave you a lot of advice on how to. And even though I'm just an intern, I don't deal with parents in like school settings. But it's still like very nice because I will be dealing with them a lot in internship too. Okay, project number 2. This was a different type. It was an annotated bibliography comprised of 12 scholarly journal articles that can answer the question, how do I keep the fire alive for my intrinsic motivation when working on solving problems? Now, the problem with this, the way I titled it is I was trying to make it so that a student was asking me, like, cause students ask me, okay, well, how do I, from my experience with my students, they ask me, okay, well, how do I, like, stay motivated? That's not the word they use. What word did they use? How do they stay motivated when working on homework? How do they make sure they don't give up when trying to work on a really tough problem? But I tried to rephrase it to more poetic type of title, but this is in the POV of like, okay, a student is asking their teacher, how do I keep my motivation? And it is also was to be paired together with a summary of 17 pages that answers my question of me using all of my sources. And it was only supposed to be 2 pages, and it was 11 pages when I was first writing it, but I shortened it up to 7. 7, but it's 10 with the references and the title purpose. Anyway, what I've learned about the amount of work an educator has to do if they want their students to mentally and academically thrive. It is so much, and this isn't even crossing into the amount of academic material the teacher has to go over with their students. It's just a lot. It is a lot. In my research, I separated each of those 12 steps. I go into more depth later, but I separated those 12 steps into 6 categories, and I paired them up with 2 of that they went together with, and I made it into a checklist. Like, okay, am I doing this? Did I check this off? And the first 3 aren't even content based. It's just, how is my environment? How am I dealing with the students? Am I being supportive enough? It's until we get later to the later half. That's more about the content. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, and then I also came across a step-by-step advice on how to answer my question, and then everything I learned I want to use in my classroom. And I have used a bit of it in my classroom, of course. And then as an essay. So, for project number 3, it was the same thing. It was a Prezi presentation of my book review of Unequal Childhoods, Class, Race, and Family Life by Annette LaRoe, 2011. And same thing, it was to be uploaded with a selfie with me holding the ebook, and this picture, you can actually see me and the book in it. And same thing, it was supposed to be delivered with the intent of promoting it to my peers, CTs, to use in their classrooms, along with summarizing the author's key points and my critiques and comments on it. And then I have learned that no matter what happens, there will always be educators out there who are dedicating their entire lives to ensure that every child can grow up in a safe and academic environment. The author, I watched a video on it because I was so, intrigued by it. The author did research for 20 years. She published it in 1980. Does that right? 1990. And then she republished it recently in 2011 after nearly 20 years of research because she added so much more into it. And it was I was like, that's crazy. Okay, I can definitely see why she's added just an entire different section. And I've learned that no matter what happens, there will always be people out there, and I want to be those people. I want to be that person that the students can go to, that I can help them, I can motivate them, and I can of course help them succeed. And then she also talks about this a lot. I've also learned how important self-awareness is when it comes to the savior complex that some educators tend to have when it comes to their students. Then this stems from toxic positivity, which originates from ignoring the real struggles that individuals go through and just seeing the person as, refusing to see the person as a person. I'm like, this is a student, yes, but also remember that this is a child. This is a child, and they're growing up in a really tough situation, so they're obviously not going to look at things the same as you. And it's crazy how some teachers don't even see that. They never ever see that. But thankfully there are some people that do. And it's crazy because she reflects on how the experiences she's seen or that she's talked with parents and how their child gets treated in school. This book was not. It was not. But okay. What weaknesses do I have? And I currently feel very unskilled. Not very, but unskilled in being that academic support for all my students. But that's more due to personal reasons, since nothing to do with the sources or information out there, because thanks to my projects, I have theoretically learned so many methods, so many techniques that I can use and implement into my classroom so that students can learn in long-term ways, healthy ways, and that's beneficial for them. But in practice, I'm only able to go to my internships on Fridays, on once a week, which mostly are testing days or quiz days or review days. So I'm not there to help them learn anything new, which most of the time I've only been able to do that like twice, and that was in the beginning of the year, which that's okay. What's that? But it hasn't like me. This book hasn't like me. I only become more motivated when they struggle more. It's like, oh, I want to help them more. In Listen Ways, I have adapted instruction to fit diverse learners. So for my example one, I actually learned this from my technology course. So previously, I'm going to sum this up by the way, I have 3 minutes. Previously, I did not like straying anything from the traditional lesson plan, and this was evident with my retrospective project from last year, but thanks to this technology course, I love exploratory based ones, simulation based ones, problem based ones, and the 5-task lesson plans. I love those all. I used I've used the simulation based, exploratory based. I've yet to use the problem based, but I've used the 5-task lesson plans. I love using them. I love using them, and I've been blessed enough to be able to teach these students in a variety of different ways. It's amazing. What you call it? And then, because it helps them learn better when they're introduced to something new, like that. It's so cool. And they enjoyed it. They love it. Anyways, and thanks to all the readings I've done in this course example too, I've learned to differentiate the class structure better to allow short periods where students can have their own independence, because the constant monitoring, the constant instruction, it can reduce a student's intrinsic motivation, which I read from when I was doing the project. And I have to let them productively struggle so then they can learn on their own. And I said that's a very essential part of learning mathematics. And then list some ways you use research in your instruction. Okay. Okay. For example 1, this is referring to my project number 2. I did a lot of research on how to keep the students intrinsically motivated in my classroom. And that's how I ended up creating that 12-step checklist. It's categorized into 6 different levels, but it's 12 items. And this was actually an advice given by the first source I was looking at, Kusurkar et al. 2011. And I explained it earlier, but I sorted out based on how important they are to me to use in my classroom. And I'm definitely going to use this more in internship too. 100%. I'm definitely going to. Because I already used it a little, like mentally, but I want to make it more exact when I'm using it in internship too, but because that's when I'll be able to go to school every day and be there with the students every day, not just once a week. So I'll actually be able to implement it in my classroom, which I can't wait to do. Example 2. And before I began my reading for project 3, I taught a lesson where students were working on a really tough problem, and I told them, I made the mistake of telling them, I will not help you with this problem because I know you can get through this. So if you have a question about the problem, you can ask me, but I will not help you. And no matter how you say that to a student, when a child hears the phrase, I will not help you from someone who's supposed to be there to help them, it's gonna freak them out. It's gonna freak them out. They're gonna freak out. It's because they're children. They're gonna freak out. And when when I was done teaching lesson, my CT, she pulled me aside and she said, don't ever do that again. In a nice way. So when I was reading part 3, it just helped me realize, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's it.